Good afternoon and greetings. I am your Mistress of Ceremonies, Zaria Moore. I am a sophomore here at the university majoring in business marketing from Little Rock, Arkansas. I hope you all are thoroughly enjoying your experience at YMTF this year. I would personally like to give you a huge thank you and to the participants and the consultants for assisting career service in achieving their purpose for this year's Empowerment Conference, Reclaiming Life. Leading, investing, framing, and empowering. The purpose of YMTF is to help students make a successful transition from college to the real world of work. It is my hope that each of you have learned something to help you succeed in your future career and personal goals. As we continue to gain knowledge through this amazing experience, the program will proceed as promised with a welcome from Ms. Kiara Hargrove.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiara Hargrove. I am a graduating senior and my major is computer science. This is my second time being a part of a wonderful experience. I'm sure we are all excited to be here today, and I would like to welcome all consultants, staff, and students. YMTF is a program focused on helping college students like myself to make a successful transition from college to real world of work. We have consultants who have taken time from their everyday responsibilities to infuse us with their knowledge and wisdom. Our theme this year, Reclaiming Life, Leading, Investing, Framing, and Empowering, will provide us with information and strategies for our success. As a participant, I've gained an array of knowledge that will not only help me in my career, but will help me throughout my life's journey as well. To students and guests, I encourage you to listen carefully as our speaker provides to you with his words of wisdom for financial empowerment and success. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Good afternoon. I am Charles Harris III, a junior here at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, majoring in industrial technology management and applied engineering. And this afternoon I'll be reading the meditation called A Dime a Dozen. Excellence is to do a common thing in an uncommon way. Famous educator Booker T. Washington. There's so much talk about excellence today. Ours is a society obsessed with excellence. Are you striving to be your best? Are you committed to excellence, or are you average? Though each of us is average in different areas of our lives, how great is it to be excellent? And make no mistake about it, we can all be excellent. Successful individuals like the famed educator Booker T. Washington encourage us to do our best. Success may involve talent, explained celebrated choreographer Alvin Ailey, but excellence involves you. If we are to move ahead as a people, warned former U.S. Congressman Shirley Chisholm, we must strive for the highest standards. Achievers know the difference between average and excellence. Excellence means standing up to life, living your life for a cause greater than yourself, so future generations will know that you played a role. The successful are remembered for their contributions, and the failures are remembered because they tried, and the average are just forgotten. Strive to make excellence your standard. A commitment to excellence is the antidote to mediocrity. You need only to stand up and choose personal excellence. This act alone will guarantee your success. I will strive for and accept nothing less than excellence. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Galen Finley. I'm a junior here at the university, majoring in business administration / management, well, with a concentration in management. I'm here to give you the degrees. We're very pleased by the head. Lord, I just want to thank you for allowing us to be here today. It's a true blessing to be able to come together so we may be able to enjoy and learn many wonderful things. We just want to thank you for putting food on the table and clothes on the back, and most important, allowing us to see another glorious day. We ask for your full grace and mercy that we have another successful YMT program, because we know without you, Lord, this is not possible. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carly Van Hook. I am a sophomore here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. My major is business administration with a concentration in marketing. It is my pleasure to introduce you all to the speaker for the 50th Youth Motivation Task Force Program. Dr. George C. Fraser is chairman and CEO of FraserNet Incorporated, a company he founded 32 years ago to lead a global networking and economic development movement for people of African descent. My apologies, y'all. I'm still waking up. He spent 20 years in leadership positions with Procter & Gamble, United Way, and Ford Motor Company before starting his own business, FraserNet Incorporated, in 1987. Dr. Fraser is most proud of the 2 charter schools he helped founded in Cleveland, Ohio, nearly 15 years ago, which educate nearly 300 inner city black children, of which 60% are boys. Take this off. Cool. I'm sorry. He has insisted for 40 years there be no sizzle reel of his life's work and purpose until there was something to quantify and sizzle about. He was born in 1945 in Brooklyn, New York, to a troubled family of 11 children. After serious mental health issues with his mom, at 2 years old, he and 6 of his siblings were orphaned, then put into toxic foster homes for a total of 16 years. He was not considered to be college material, so he was sent to a vocational high school and got a diploma in carpentry. The rest is history. Dr. Fraser has always believed it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That God has great plans for each of us. We must simply listen for his voice, follow directions, overcome the obstacles, and stay course. Dr. Fraser's favorite line from super rapper Drake, started from the bottom, now we're here. Please direct your attention to the video screen where you will see 75 extraordinary years of his life in 120 seconds.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was late getting to the hotel last night, Shirley. And the reason I was late is because they had a driver service picking me up. So they were given instructions. And so I walked around the airport for a while, and he walked around the airport for a while, and finally I said, well, he's walking around and I'm walking around. Maybe he's looking for me. And he was. He said, but I was looking for a black guy. Well, that's the beauty of our culture and race, right? We come in all shapes, sizes, skin tones, and hair textures, right? Lots of options out there, brothers and sisters. No need to stray. I know that went over a lot of people's heads, but as you get older and wiser, you will understand what I mean by that. Shirley, I don't know what to say about you, other than you remind me of me. You are gangster. You are straight, no chaser. You take no prisoners. You are about black excellence, which that young brother talked about. You are a servant leader. As I am a race man, you are a race woman. What is a race man or a race woman? A race man or a race woman is someone that has committed their time, talent, and treasure into the investment and upliftment of their own people first. I didn't say only, I just said first. And I love you for that. I love Linda Clemens for recommending me to you. That helps us to understand the power and importance of networking and building relationships. I want to spend some time preparing you for the real world. Larry Bankston, who will be talking to you later in a workshop, as I will be, will take a very deep dive on wealth. And I'm going to say some things about wealth, but I'm going to emphasize your preparedness for the real world. And I'm going to begin with my own story. My father came to this country in the early 1900s from Guyana. A beautiful black man about the color of my suit without the stripes. Married a fair-skinned sister, Ida Mae Baldwin, from Lumpkin, Georgia. Together they had 11 children, 8 boys and 3 girls. My mother became mentally ill, seriously mentally ill, when I was 2 years old. My father, who couldn't get a good job in America when he came from Guyana, so he was a cab driver, and he was working 12 to 14 hours a day to support his family. My mother was institutionalized, stayed in a mental institution until she died, and my father could not take care of 11 children. So at 2 years old, me and my older sister Emma and my younger brother Joseph were orphaned. We stayed in an orphanage for 3 years, and then we went into foster care. Toxic foster care. That is not an indictment of foster care. I'm a huge supporter of foster care. It's just that the foster care homes, which we had to be taken out of and then put into other homes, were toxic. No one thought I was college material, so I was sent to a vocational school and got a diploma in carpentry. I couldn't get a job in New York City because the Italians controlled the carpentry union. So the only job I could get out of high school without a college degree, and by the way, when I was born, if you were a black person sent to college in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, you belonged to an upper middle class black family. So, my first job, real job, was working for the Port Authority of New York City, mopping floors and cleaning urinals on the midnight shift at LaGuardia Airport. I loved that job. In fact, if you were to go to LaGuardia Airport today, go down into the maintenance department, there is a picture on the wall. It is of me. I was the best floor mopper in the history of LaGuardia Airport. Nobody cleaned toilets and mopped floors better than me. What's the point, Dr. Fraser? How you do anything is how you do everything. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I aged out of foster care. My father, who kept in touch with his family, had built a brownstone in Brooklyn, New York, in Bed-Stuy. And they say if you're from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York, you're either a thug or a gangster. I'm a gangster. You're going to find out in a minute. He maintained connection with his children. When I aged out, my older brothers had aged out before me. They were living in the brownstone. There were 3 of them. But they were heroin addicts and heroin dealers. When I got home, I saw this. I said in the quiet of my own mind, Larry, I got to get the hell out of here. I didn't say it to them. I didn't say it to anybody. I knew I could not exist in that environment. My younger brother Joseph, who aged out with me, and my older sister Emma, we were there. Emma got married. She said the same thing in the quiet of her, oh, I got to get the hell out of here, by any means necessary. She found a young man that she fell in love with and got married and got the hell out of the foster care home and out of our home that we went back to. I got on a Greyhound bus, grabbed what little I had, went to Cleveland, Ohio, where I had a much older sister who took me in. Joseph stayed. At 41 years old, Joseph was killed in a drug deal that went bad. He became a heroin addict and a drug dealer. He did not understand that we must remove the toxic people and bloodsuckers from our lives. And this is very easy to say, very difficult to do, because most of these people are your family. They're your blood. And when you identify them, you must bless them and release them, or you're simply not going to get where you're going. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's the truth. That's my story. I wrote something last night as I was thinking about this talk, Shirley, that success is not about the car you drive, it's about the place that you're going. It is not about how you look, it is about how you see yourself. It is not about who you know, but who you are. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Part 2. I have limited time. I want to talk about what I title the struggle that we are all in as black people for as long as you and your children and your children and your children's children will live. So let me say this about that. We are all drinking from wells that we did not dig. That we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And we must never, ever, ever forget that. Which means and requires knowing both your ancient and modern history. A 350-year fight. From 1619 to 1864, a 250-year fight for our freedom. 13 generations fought and died for our freedom. A 100-year fight for civil rights, voting rights, and public access. 5 generations. 17 generations suffered and died under the most egregious form of slavery invented by humankind, because it was what? Intergenerational slavery. That you automatically were enslaved if you came out of a woman that was a slave. And you and your siblings and grand-siblings would be enslaved for 12 generations automatically. There was never a system of slavery like that in the history of the world. So the question that we must ask ourselves in the quiet of our own minds, are we worthy of that legacy, Shirley? Are we worthy of that legacy? And if you believe that we are worthy of that legacy, the deeper question is, what then will be your legacy? What will be our legacy? What will our children's children be saying about you 150 years from now? What will be your legacy? We cannot allow our legacy to end with the civil rights struggle. When I say what will be your legacy, I'm not talking about baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer. I'm 77. I'm the oldest of the baby boomers. The youngest of the baby boomers are in their 50s. We participated in the civil rights struggle. That is our legacy. But what will be the legacy of Generation X, Y, Z, and Generation Alpha? What will we be saying about you 150 years from now? It is my prayer that your legacy, the next 5 generations, your legacy, be helping black people close the income and wealth gap between blacks and whites in America. I am praying that that will be your legacy. Because we set you free. Your job, we're passing the baton to you to set the rest of our people free. And it has to be around economics. My favorite quote ever in the history of humankind, that is the North Star of my life, came out of the mouth of Stokely Carmichael. Most of you probably don't even know who he is. This was a stone cold revolutionary. He was to the right hand of Dr. King. He was the revolutionary arm of Dr. King. Google him. I quote Stokely Carmichael. No black person in this country makes an advancement solely based on his or her talent or worth. All individual advancement is based on mass struggle. We make no progress in this world without shedding our blood. Therefore, your advancement and success does not belong to you. It belongs to the people. So if you do not use your success or advancement for the benefit of your people, it is a betrayal of the people who shed their blood for you. Toni Morrison. You might know who Toni Morrison is. The Pulitzer Prize-winning, Nobel Prize-winning black female author. I hope you know. If you don't know who she is, Google her. Write the name down. Toni Morrison said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. The great Dr. John Henrik Clarke, the great African-centered scholar from Harlem, the mentor to who? Malcolm X, said it differently. He said, take what you do best and do it for your people. Now, if you don't know who Dr. John Henrik Clarke is, Google him. We have work to do. But it begins, and Jeff talked about this last night so beautifully, it begins with knowing who you really are. Now, that's a problem. Most black people have no idea who they really are. I'm here because I love you. I had lots of options and lots of choices. I chose here because I love you. I love you because I love me. Let me say that a different way. When you look in the mirror and you see what's in that mirror and you do not love what you see, if I did not love me, there is no way that I could love you, because you are a reflection of me. That is, in fact, a problem in our culture. It's called low race esteem, which is driven by low self-esteem, which is one of the fundamental reasons we don't trust each other, we don't work together, we don't network effectively, we don't leverage our collective resources and intellectual capital. And we're 400 years in. And we're at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America, and we came here on the Mayflower. Know yourself. We are the children of the slaves that would not die, that we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa, that we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves practicing cannibalism. That's who we are. That's who we are. And if everything happens for a reason and serves us in some special way, and you will never understand that reason looking forward, and you will only understand it looking backwards. If that is in fact the truth, brothers and sisters, maybe black people were not brought here. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? I don't think so. How could an America who could morally, spiritually, and biblically, Larry, justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America, and Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans here, America might have self-destructed by now. That's who you are. You're not just the modern history of black people, which is 400 years old. You are also the ancient history of black people, which is 5,000 years before Christ. That's what runs through your blood. Have you visited Egypt? Yes, Egypt is in Africa. It is not in the Middle East. And 5,000 years before Christ, the people building those pyramids were Africans. That's who you are. Why have we gone backwards? What about our progress? Well, let me explain that to you, in case you didn't read enough to understand. Yeah, we don't read. Right, Larry? We talked about that. We had a luncheon conversation about that. No, black people do not read. You know the old saying, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. The average American reads one book a year. If you make it your business to read one book a month, in 5 years you will have read 60 books, and the average American will have only read 5. Read. Why have we gone backwards? I'm asked this question all over the world. And one of the answers is our music. Do you know how important music is to African people? Beginning with the drums of African people on the continent and the spiritual singing of the slaves so that we could functionally communicate with each other. You know how important words and rhythm is to black people? We went from spiritual music to gospel, to the blues, to jazz, to R&B, and finally now to the most infectious of all musics that we have created, rap music. Well, don't get me started about rap now. Do I know something about rap as an elder at 77? Oh, hell to the yes. Make no mistake about it. It was created in the Bronx and Brooklyn, where I'm from. Where do you think Jay-Z is from? Where do you think Biggie Smalls is from? Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. If I wanted to give you the Mount Rushmore of rap music, how many of you know what Mount Rushmore is? Okay, good. All right, good. So here's my Mount Rushmore of rap music. Now, you can pick your own, but this is mine. Tupac.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Biggie.
Okay.
Jay-Z. Kendrick Lamar. Why Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Fraser? Because he's the only Negro in rap music to win the Pulitzer Prize for his words and his ideas that did not denigrate us. It uplifted us. It informed us. Now, who's the fifth one, Dr. Fraser? If Eminem wasn't white, he'd be the fifth one. So he's not the fifth one. But that's a bad white boy. Don't get it twisted. So in place of Eminem, I place the person who discovered Eminem, and who would that be? Dr. Dre. That's the Mount Rushmore of rap music. So I know a little something about rap music, but it has not evolved. Gangster rap was a destructive force. And I don't have to say it. How many of you know who Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is? The preeminent black psychiatrist to have ever lived. Not psychologist, a medical doctor, psychiatrist, who studies the brain. Now, write her name down, Dr. Francis Cress, C-R-E-S-S, Welsing, W-E-L-S-I-N-G. Do your research on this sister. Here's what she said about rap music. We wonder why we're not making progress. We can't call ourselves a bitch, a hoe, a gangster, and a thug every day and get up and do something constructive. That's impossible. Malcolm said before he died, referring to rap music, referring to our programming, Malcolm said, the slave master no longer has to whip, shoot, lynch, rape, poison, and brainwash you. He has taught you to do it yourself. We must bless and release destructive music. I didn't say all of rap music because it's not all destructive. But there's still plenty of it. You cannot pump that shit into your brain. I'm sorry. In flying over here, I'm sitting in my seat and there was a young brother, true story, sitting, there was a middle row, he was sitting on the window seat. He had his headphones on, and I could hear his music even through his headphones. That's how loud it was. I'm reading a book, and he's... I don't even want to tell you what the shit was. But so you could hear, I could hear it. Now, what kind of effect does that have on who you are and what's going through your brain? That's called programming. We cannot be average. A young brother said that. Black people cannot be average. Only white people can be average. We learned that from Donald Trump as compared to Barack Hussein Obama. Had Barack Hussein Obama had done or said 1/1000th of what Donald Trump had said or done, he wouldn't have been elected a freaking dog catcher, let alone leader of the free world. Only white people can be mediocre in this country and get over. We cannot. Either you are excellent or you are invisible. There will be nothing for you. My mama told me many years ago, Georgie boy, you're going to have to be twice as good to get half as much, because if you're black and mediocre in America, you better leave, because you're going to be marginalized and you're ultimately going to be destroyed. We have to be amazing. We have no choice. But we can be amazing. We have the genetic encoding to be amazing. Everything we've ever touched, where the playing field was level and the rules were clear, surely, not only were we able to compete, we would dominate. Not only would we dominate, we would change the game on your ass. Any place where we were able to compete. So we can compete. We have it like that. We are God's first people. Do you understand that? We are the first people as we know them, humans as we know them, were found in the Olduvai Gorge in Ethiopia 75,000 years ago. And if you're hanging out in Ethiopia, I've been to Africa 31 times, you're blue-black. So if the promise of God is to create in your own image, what color was God? He created black people first? What? Did he create a God in his own image? We're awesome. And you don't get it. Because you don't understand it. Because you don't read about it. We're awesome and beautiful people. But to get where you're going to have to do it with and through other people. You cannot do this by yourself. You cannot live this life by yourself. Now, Dr. Fraser didn't make this up. This is biblical. My favorite quote in the Bible is John 5:30. It is a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are 800,000 words in the Bible, and only 1,200 words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, John 5:30, and Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus. Jesus couldn't get it done. The Son of God on his own by himself in a vacuum. What did he need? He needed 12 disciples, and one turned on him. That meant he had 11. 11 is a magic number. Why? Because whenever you network or connect or build a relationship with someone, you're not looking for 1 + 1 making 2. You can do that with any damn body. You're looking for 1 + 1 making 11. You're looking for exponential growth. Work on your people skills. Work on your networks. You're going to have to build a personal network, an operational network, and a strategic network through every passage of your life. I don't have time to unpack that. Maybe surely the next time I'm here, we'll do a whole piece on effective networking. But a personal network, an operational network is people that help you to get certain things done, and you help them to get certain things done through every passage of your life. And you're going to have, if you're lucky, you're going to have 8 passages. Each passage is 10 years. What does that mean, Dr. Fraser? Well, you're a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray. You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, 80 than 70. You're constantly evolving. And if you're lucky, if you're on purpose, if you're doing God's work, He'll give you as much time as He needs for you to get that job done. And you're going to have to build a support system. And that's your network. So let me say it. Bottom line, and I'll get to the main little piece of business. You can have all the formal education that you want in the world. If you do not have a financial education, you're going to end up broke. We are the most financially illiterate people in America. As I said earlier, we're still, 400 years later, at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in this country. It was Toni Morrison who said, if you want to fly, you've got to give up the shit that holds you down. That's what she said. What is holding you down? Are you financially literate? Most of us are not. Why, Dr. Fraser? It's a long story. It's in the books. But we are currently in an existential crisis. Until Black America puts Black America first, we will always be last. To be black and beautiful means nothing in this world unless you're black and powerful. We cannot be black and proud and niggas too. White folks are planning for 3 generations and we're planning for Saturday night. Yes, we are. The goal, brothers and sisters, in case no one told you, I'm going to tell you, so you'll never be able to say you don't know. You'll never be able to unlearn this, because I'm going to tell you straight, no chasing. The goal is to win, not to look like you're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. Your ass ain't winning. You ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Gucci is winning, right? Armani is winning. Nike is winning. You ain't winning. What is interesting to me is that the rich stay rich while pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor while pretending to be rich. Our people buy glitter and live in a fantasy to hide their truth out of fear of being judged and embarrassed. That's why we fake it. But even glitter gets dull after a while. Dr. Amos Wilson, Google him, write his name down. Watch every YouTube he created before he died, one of the greatest black economists who have ever lived, Dr. Amos Wilson. He's all over YouTube. He died in 1996. Here's what Amos Wilson said 20 years ago. He said, our refusal as black people to confront the issue of money and wealth is going to end up with our very lives being threatened as people on this earth. That's what he said. The Institute of Policy Studies in 2017 came out with a major study on the economic state of black people in America. Google it. Read the study. Here was the conclusion. By 2053, 10 years after the country is projected to become majority non-white, black median family household wealth will be 0. In other words, we won't have no money. Try to operate in a market-based economy in a democratic capitalist society without money. Your ass is in second slavery. This is 2053. We're not talking 2100. We're talking 30 years from now. It is on us. Ain't nobody saving black people but black people. Right? Ain't nobody thinking about black people but black people. White people ain't thinking about us. Who white people thinking about? They're thinking about them. As they should. They are creating work and jobs and wealth for their people. How do we know the statistics and tell us? The most recent is white Americans household own 90% of the national wealth of this country. 90%. We've been here 400 years. We are 13% of the population. We own, all black people clumped together, 2.6% of the nation's wealth, and we created the nation's first wealth, picking cotton. We have work to do. Now, if you can't manage $1,000, you can't manage $10,000. You don't suddenly know how to manage money by obtaining more of it. This is why a lot of lottery winners and celebrities go broke. You know that 70% of entertainers and athletes, especially athletes who earn millions of dollars in their career, are either broke or in bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years of retirement. Financial illiteracy. Financial literacy is not a side effect of wealth. Wealth is a side effect of financial literacy. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty. In our Winds Wealth Building Center, we have a system that we install in historically black churches, because everything is a system. So for those of you who are thinking about entrepreneurship, if you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it ain't a business. There's a system for everything so that you can replicate, duplicate, and scale it. So we have to think systems, not just one-offs. I think there are 5 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. It is a system. There are certain things that you must have, you must plan to have as a black person as you grow older and wiser. You may not have them all now. But let me give you just a short list of some things that you want to put on your to-do list before you die. Every black family should own land. Every black family should have some gold. Every black family should have some crypto, which is one of the 5 pillars of the intergenerational transfer of wealth. Every black family should have proper insurance. Every black family should have an LLC. I don't care if you bake cookies, put them in a box and sell it to somebody, do it through an LLC. The tax benefits will boggle your mind. Every black family should have an investment account, not a savings account. Don't save your money, invest your money. When you're saving your money, that used to be the gold standard of my parents' generation, that held to the no. You're making less than 0.5% on anything that you're saving. Your money ain't even keeping up with inflation. Invest, have an investment account, have stocks, have a trust. Oh, now this is high-level thinking. A trust is a beast where you own nothing, control everything, and can transfer your wealth most of the time tax-free to succeeding generations to complete. Proverbs 13:22. What? A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. A trust. Yes, you want a will. You don't want to end up like Aretha Franklin, Prince, or James Brown. They're still fighting over their shit now. They died years ago. You know who's going to end up with 40% of their money? The lawyers in the state. So minimally, have a will. But optimally, have a trust. That's what white people do. And every black person should produce an essential product. That's the list. Yes, by the end of the 21st century, we must ultimately become the #1 employers of our own people. And every immigrant group that has ever come to this country has understood that, but black people. Yeah. Jews are the #1 employer of Jews. Asians are the #1 employer of Asians. East Indians are the #1 employer of East Indians. Arabs are the #1 employer of Arabs. 96% of black people have a job. Nothing wrong with a job. But there should not be a Negro in America with a single stream of income. Wrong. So you can have a job, and you can use the expertise from your job for writing, consulting, teaching other people for a fee that you're worthy of. We put on a big conference every year, the Power Networking Conference. It's our 21st one coming up August the 3rd through the 6th in Houston, Texas. And we teach you that when you come to our conference, we will help you double your streams of income. If you come with one, when you leave, you'll have two. If you come with two, when you leave, you'll have four. If you come with four, when you leave, you'll have 8. We should have multiple streams of income that is compatible with having a job. 5 pillars very quickly. I'm at 40 minutes, and you said what, 40? You said 40 minutes? So I got how many more minutes? 5 more minutes? I just want to be on time. She said 3 more minutes. 5 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. We'll answer questions in my workshop. I think we're going to do some Q&A on this too, right here. Okay. The proper management of accumulated wealth. That's the first pillar for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. You're an expert in whatever it is that you do, but you ain't an expert in the investment and management of money. Find a brother or sister that looks like you who spent their entire freaking life understanding how to invest and manage money, and hire them. That's what I did 35 years ago with my wife for 50 years. We hired a brother from the Nation of Islam, Idris Muhammad. He gave us advice. We put $8,000 into a blue chip stock portfolio back in the day, 30 years ago. Today it's worth $800,000. He gave me some other advice. I don't have time to tell you what that advice is. Maybe in the workshop I'll tell you. Proper management of accumulated wealth. Don't think you can do it by yourself. You can't. What is the second pillar for the intergenerational transfer of wealth? Real estate. Real estate. What's the first thing God gave Adam? Real estate. What's the first thing God gave Isaac? Real estate. Real estate. They ain't making any more of it. Real estate. It is the cornerstone of most people's wealth. It's how I made my first $1 million. The third pillar for the intergenerational transfer of wealth, I already talked about it, business ownership, entrepreneurship. Stop doing all the damn buying. Do some selling. We are the consumption class in this country, and white people are the merchant class. They make stuff, we buy stuff. No. Sell something. Quarter time, part time, full time. If you bake cookies, put them in a box, put your name on it, and sell it to somebody. If you live on a farm, take the manure, put it in a bag, put your name on it, and sell it to somebody. You can sell shit in America. You do know that. You know that the fertilizer industry is $25 billion, and what basically is it? Cow manure. Sell something. Stop doing all the darn buying. Business ownership. The fourth pillar is proper insurance. I already talked about that. I cannot even begin to tell you or unpack what white people have done over the last 50 years with insurances. We were buying debit insurance, and if we're lucky, we might be buying final expense insurance. But here's what the New York Times found out about black people. They were doing a major study on black people and their cell phones. Larry, check this out. And here's what they discovered, that more black people had insurance on their cell phones and on their lives or the lives of their children by a factor of 10. That's how crazy we are. Proper insurance. And finally, I talked about it. The fifth one is cryptocurrency. Now, I've lived 77 years. I've gone through all of the bubbles. In my 77 years, this is our personal experience, I've never seen a bigger opportunity, it's risky, but everything is risk, than crypto. There's an economic tsunami coming. Get invested, get involved in crypto. Now, don't be stupid about it. Study it. There's information everywhere. Don't do it alone. Do it with a group of people. I do it with about 1,000 brothers and sisters. We have classes on it, and we make our investments. I have invested in the last 2 years only $15,000 in crypto platforms. That $15,000 without any other investment today, as we speak, is $600,000. I put in 15, got 600. Now, what did I tell you I did 30 years ago? We put 8,000 in the stock market, and 30 years later, we had 800,000. I put 15 in crypto 2 years ago, and right now it's 600,000. What will that look like 30 freaking years from now? Be careful. It's risk. That is all I have to say. That is my story. I'm sticking to it. We will talk more about it in a workshop, and I'm ready to take questions. She put pressure on me to get it done in time.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joel Stork. I'm a junior here, and my major is biology with a minor in criminal justice. My question is, as an international student, you told me your dad was Guyanese, right? What advice would you give him back then that could change his life now? Because coming from an international country to America, not knowing what to do,
Yeah.
what type of advice would you give somebody?
What advice would I give someone coming to America, not knowing what to do?
Like your dad, in your dad's instance.
Yeah, I just spent 45 minutes of giving advice, and it would be any one of those 15 things I laid out. But most importantly, get educated about money. There are over 52,000 brothers and sisters with licenses in every kind of area of money that you could possibly imagine. Learn about money. Why don't we know about money? Because we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money at home. We don't talk about money in our schools, and we don't talk about money in our church. In spite of the fact that 2,500 references of money and economics in the Bible, 11 of Jesus' parables about money. So advise him or her or whomever, once you get your feet firmly planted on the ground, understand that this is one of the greatest countries for investment opportunity. There are a myriad of ways in which you can make money. There's a myriad ways in which you can start a business. That is not our problem. Our problem is, in spite of the fact that there's institutional racism in this country, that is not our problem as it relates to business development. There are more businesses looking for you than you looking for them. What our problem is capacity. So our challenge for the 21st century as black people is building our capacity to take advantage of the tremendous opportunities that there are in this country. Right? So hopefully the person who's coming here has some education, right? And hopefully they are amazing and excellent at whatever it is that they do, because if they're average or mediocre, they better go back to where they came from. There ain't nothing for them. I mean, that's the truth. That's the cold, hard truth. Are you coming? All right, I'm talking to you then. I don't know. I thought you said you had someone. I misheard you. Coming. So so you just got the best advice I can give you. Learn about money. Get yourself educated, which is what you're doing. So I'm singing to the choir. I didn't focus a lot on that. You already understand that, right? Only 36 to 40% of black people in America have a college education. About 35% of them ultimately graduate from college each year. So you're already doing the things you need to do. You're getting education. Now you need to get a financial education. And there's financial education all over the internet. There is no excuse for you to be ignorant about money. There is no excuse. It's all over the internet. Black people are teaching it for nothing. Every week, I entertain 1,000 people on the Generational Wealth Alliance. I'm the co-host of that, and it's free, and it's all about money. That's all we talk about, because that's all there is to talk about. And until we get that, focus on that. Get excellent in it. just like we do in basketball, football, baseball, golf, tennis, you name it. You get it. We get excellent as we are in sports, in money. Oh, ain't nobody looking for us to do that. We have to do that. Ain't nobody saving us but us. We're going to do it. So if we can do it in sports or anything, we can do it in this. We just have to focus on it. Focus on it, all hell will break loose. Do you think white people want us to get our stuff together? Oh, I don't know what you've been drinking. No. No, we want us to get our stuff together. It's fine just like it is for them. As long as we stay ignorant and poor and don't bother them and consume their goods, they're just fine. And by the way, I'm not hating on white people. Let me say this. Keep it plain. You don't have to hate anybody to love yourself. I love you. That's what I love. I love me. I love what we are about and what we must do. I ain't hating on them. I'm just saying we cannot depend on them. They ain't dependent on us. We must depend on ourselves.
I have a question too.
Yes, go ahead, brother. Don't get me started.
My question is, well, first off, my name is Jaleel, I'm a sophomore. My question is, where do you think we would be as a people, or what do you think the country would look like if us as black people had more unity, like together?
Where do you think we'll be as a people?
That, and what do you think it would look like? Like, what do you think the country would look like if black people came
Without
together?
black people?
No, if black people came together more.
There are three things that we're missing. You just hit the nail on the head. One is unity. Are we unified? There are 1.6 billion of us. We're the second largest race on the planet. Asians are one at 4.4 billion. We at 1.6 billion. On the continent of Africa, been there 31 times. We control 70% of the most important minerals in the world that the world must have. Yet, Africans in sub-Sahara are the poorest black people on the planet per capita. If we unified, it would be scary. No one's interested in that. But yes, we would be a beast. We would not treat them like they have treated us. They're fearful of that. So we would be awesome if we brought that power to bear. So we need unity and we need organization. Do you realize that the only black institution that is funded by black people in America is the black church? Every other institution that supports us is not funded by us. And in that case, the golden rule applies. And the golden rule is what, Dr. Fraser? Those with the gold rule. So we have to organize and self-fund the NAACP, the Urban League, etc., etc., etc. Fund and educate our own children, which we are doing a good job. It's the reason I started 2 charter schools 18 years ago, before it was even popular, before LeBron even knew what a charter school was. Right? We must educate our children. Now, the third thing that has to happen, and this is controversial, but I'm going to say it. The minute we stop worshiping a white God and understand that our God looks like us, there's no telling what we're able to do. My foster parents were Roman Catholic. Imagine black people being Roman Catholic. We would go to Mass every Sunday. I'm a little kid. We would go to the Mass, and Georgie and Emma and my younger brother Joseph, we would get on our knees because back then, in the 50s, you go into any church, black or white, there was a cross and there was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. Back then. We would get on our knee and pray to a blonde and blue-haired Jesus and God. That is what was going on in our subtle, soft minds. We were worshiping someone that did not look like us. That's why we continually show deference to white people. Not that there are some that don't deserve it, but we should be worshiping to a God in our image. There is no cultural group on the planet but black people that worship to a God that does not look like them. What does that tell you? So this is what we must work on. Those are the three things. This is changing in the black church. There are no crosses with a white Jesus on it anymore. You notice that? And if you're smart enough, you have an African American Bible. I have the Jubilee edition of the African American Bible, and everything in that Bible is black. We must change how we think. So you don't have to agree with me, that's just how I see it. One more question.
Hello, my name is Courtney Beacons. I'm currently getting my master's in computer science.
You have to speak into the mic and speak up, dear. I'm 77, I'm losing my hearing.
Hello, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Hello, my name is Courtney Beacons. I'm currently getting my master's in computer science. I actually have two questions. My first question is, what are some book recommendations that kind of changed your life as far as wealth and financial literacy? And also, what are your opinions on like real estate in the metaverse?
Okay, repeat your question.
So my first question is book recommendations in regards to...
book recommendations.
Yes,
That's
sir.
your first question. And the second question?
Is metaverse, real estate in the metaverse.
Yeah. I like the idea of the metaverse. 3 years ago, we created the first virtual nation in the world, Fraser Nation, Citizens of Generational Wealth. No barriers, no borders, no boundaries. I was anticipating augmented reality, virtual reality, and 5 years ago. And so we created a nation virtually. We have our own flag, we have our own Declaration of Interdependence, and we have our own Constitution, and it's global. There are 1.3 million black people in our virtual universe. So actually, I love the idea of the metaverse. What you're going to start doing is participating in events where you will actually be in the event. You'll be watching stuff on Zoom and other virtual reality products and platforms that are being designed right now. Facebook just hired 10,000 people to work on product and services and programming for virtual and augmented reality. So I love it. And so the whole virtual world, all the Zoom calls and all that stuff that we're doing now, you're going to actually be doing that with goggles on in 3 or 4 years, and you'll actually be sitting in the meeting. I think it's awesome. I think it's another way to reprogram black people. We have to, I'm serious, we have to reprogram ourselves, right? We've got 400 years of garbage in us, and it's still being pumped out. So you just have to be careful what you take in. So the metaverse, I think, will help that. Because if I can give you programming, because that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I can get you visualizing it and listening to it and being in it, I'm going to have a serious effect on your life. So I love it. Fortunately, I anticipated it. That's where it's all going.
She asked you about book recommendations, so we can...
Book recommendations. Well, I would recommend, there are 3 books I would recommend. If you have not read Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community, a book I wrote 30 years ago that has been a bestseller for 5 years. It is the book that started the networking conversation in Black America and started the networking movement. It is required reading in a number of historically Black colleges. If you have not read that book, read that book. Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. You can pick up a copy, paperback, on Amazon for $12. That's number 1. Number 2, read the Bible. I mean literally read the Bible. Get an African American Bible, because every place that African people are invested or involved is outlined in the Bible. And all the pictures of God and Jesus look like you. Read the Bible. Read a little bit every day. Third, there's a wonderful book entitled The Obstacle is the Way. The Obstacle is the Way. Now, why is that book so important? It's wonderful stories based on Stoicism. I'm a Stoic philosopher. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is from Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said, "The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. What is the first thing God does when he gives you an assignment that he feels that you're ready for? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacles so that you can learn the lessons. Every problem has a purpose. Learn the lessons. You stumble, you fall, you fail. You learn those lessons. And then once you learn those lessons, God gives you an attaboy or an attagirl, and then he gives you your next assignment at a slightly higher level, because you've learned lessons. And what's the next thing God does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under those obstacles. When you look back over your entire life, that's exactly what your life is. Overcoming obstacles. And that's what we have done so magnificently as a people. When you think of the obstacles that we have had to overcome, to sit here right now and to have this meeting, we can do this. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Success Runs in Our Race by Dr. Fraser. And a classic, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. He was a close friend of mine and endorsed Success Runs in Our Race. Those are the 3 books I would recommend that you read. Okay? Now I have 2 books with me. Click, which you have to order. 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships by McGraw-Hill. And a book of the story of me and my sister and my younger brother Joseph, the first adventure of the Fraser foster kids. Who would have thunk it? It's an incredible little book for young people. It teaches us that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. Okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You've been an incredible audience.
Well, let's give him another round of applause. I can tell you that I don't know what year it was. I went to a conference under the National Urban League, the Black Executive Exchange Program. He was there as a speaker. When I called him, I shared with him what he said that stuck with me, an example that he gave when he was speaking. Then I connected with Linda Clemens, who was here in the fall. She was also at that conference, and I couldn't remember her name. So I kept searching and searching, and it finally popped up. And I called her and had her here in the fall. And when I told her what I was doing this spring, she recommended him, and I didn't know it was going to be the person that I had heard at the conference.
Small world.
Small world. So,
Networks are important. That's right. This happens.
and when I called him, it was like talking to somebody that I've been talking to all the time. Because we had a great conversation on a Sunday afternoon. He returned my, no, I called him, and he answered. He said, boy, that was quick. So on behalf of the Office of Career Services and the YMTF Committee, this is a small token that we want you, since this is your first time at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
It won't be the last.
All right, all right. And we really, 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 okay, thank you so much. The information you put out there, man, you have a memory, I can tell you that, to quote all those things to us. Now, you all wake up, because we're getting ready to talk more about money in your workshop with Mr. Larry Bankston. And then you also have Kamika Bloomfield, who's going to talk about budgeting and credit. Because based on what he's told us, we got to get it right. We got to get it right. And you all are getting information, as someone said on the film, this is not happening on every campus, every HBCU campus. So you're getting something that a lot of students are not getting that are going to other universities.